it's been 1 year since we published the book, Beating Multiple Sclerosis, and you are sharing your story in it. You are chapter 32, and you were diagnosed with MS in 2008, which is 16 years now. And I just want to see how you are doing since your story was out and what's changed.
Yeah. And to hear you say how long it's been, it definitely puts in perspective the journey.
Yeah.
Um, but things that have changed, I'm feeling great. I feel really good. There are some days that I wake up and, this disease does not exist. But then there's some days that I wake up and I'm like, I'm feeling a bit achy or, numbness and tingling. So I just readjust, as the day goes on. So that's kind of the things that it's been so long, so many years, and I'm still figuring it out. I'm still figuring out who Jasmine is with MS and, who Jasmine can definitely be without MS as well, which is the goal.
Very interesting to hear that. I remember that when you were first diagnosed, you learned about your grandmother having MS. How is she doing?
She's amazing. She is going to be 90 years old in April. Um, and she's walking circles around all of us.
She was
Yeah,
a
so
big
that,
inspiration, right, in the beginning.
yes, huge inspiration and continues to be. She has never been on prescription medication. She's never been medicated. So just seeing her life journey and the conversations that I have with my doctors around her, and just seeing that that's my genetics and there's no need for me to be on, on medication as well. I live the same lifestyle that she does.
So you actually mentioned it to the doctor that you have a grandmother who's not on medication and still the
Yeah.
healthiest person you know?
Yes, definitely. My last one of my last doctor's appointments, and I don't go for regular, they want us to come yearly, and I don't. I kind of just, manage myself, and if I'm curious, then I go. Um, but I did my last appointment. A doctor was, kind of just trying to push me on a prescription medication, and I told her that's not why I'm here today. And that's not a conversation, that I want to have. She was still a bit pushy about it, so I just kind of like, I have some things to tell you. I do have a grandmother who is of almost 90 years old and has never been on prescription medication. So, you've asked me my family history when we fill out that paperwork, I'd ask the doctor, did you look into it? Did you look to see what I put on my questionnaire? You would know from that questionnaire that I'm okay without being on prescription medication. So
Mm.
that's kind of yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit sad that they don't really want to investigate, why are you doing so good and what's the secret, and maybe recommend it to other people, other patients, because we have all this fear and we are expecting the doctors to help us, but instead of leaving the office recharged or with something positive, you coming out and you just feel like your world is coming to an end. It's really that's why I don't really like doctors' offices, and that's why I switched my neurologist also. So when was your last MRI? Last year? I think I remember.
I almost think it's been, I would say last year, but I might even be hitting almost a year and a half, 2 years. I did get a notification saying that, I've missed the last one. So, no biggie, we'll be okay.
Yeah, and I remember before you didn't had an MRI for like years, right?
Yes, years. And I guess it has been about a year plus. The last one that I did have, it came back and there was no active lesions. So I didn't, I asked her and I really pushed hard for that MRI. She didn't really feel like I needed it. She wanted me to take the medication first or just get started. But that was, just for their studies. So I pushed to have the MRI first. And I said, I'd rather have the MRI first and then we'll see where I'm at. And then, I'll decide. But the MRI showed there was no active lesions.
So what do you think there's no active lesions? I think everybody wants to know this answer.
You know, I think with that being said, I talk to myself. I talk to my body. I pray about my condition. I truly live the lifestyle that lesions don't even want to be a part of my body. I truly live a healthy lifestyle. Um, and I do honestly think that that's the reason why there's no active lesions. I'm telling myself,
So it's basically your mind is telling your body that it's not acceptable.
right, exactly. It's just not acceptable. Yeah, you aren't serving me. So why should I allow you to stay? It's almost like, you invite a friend over and they're not a great guest, why would you invite them back to come over?
Yeah.
Um, that's kind of how I am treating these pests.
I think this is the best approach because it's so important what you put out, it comes back to you. If you put out illness and lesions and being scared and fearful and all those things, sooner or later it's going to manifest in your life. And
Yeah.
that's what happens with a lot of people, unfortunately. So share like you not your routine, but like when you say healthy lifestyle, what's that involves?
Yeah. If we start with the top of our body being our head and our mind and our brain and just the way we think about things, I really try really hard to live in a beautiful mind. I try to live a life of of beauty, of greatness. And then I'm saying that these birds are outside my window chirping right now. And that's where I like to be. I like to live in that space of I am blessed. I am waking up every morning. I'm able to, you know, provide and take care of my family and take care of myself. So there's no reason, to be down. So that mindset that I have is definitely my day to day. That's my day to day routine, if we want to call it that. And then also just taking a second to take care of that. I can think that, but then if I continue to move throughout the day, we know the day gets overwhelming and there's so many tasks to do. But just checking in with myself throughout the day. If I do need to sit down and rest, yesterday I actually took a nap for the first time in a very long time. And I woke up and I was like, I needed that nap. And those things have definitely helping me just to kind of reset and recharge throughout the day. And also when it comes to just like a healthy living, we, my family, we really, really try to stay away from chemicals in our house. If it's, the chemicals that we're breathing in, it's our water, making sure we have great water filters. Food is a huge one. We can really, really take care of ourselves and heal any and every condition with the food that we put in our bodies.
That's so true. Um, did you have this mindset always, like even before MS, or it was a transformation throughout?
Yeah, I've always had this mindset. Even, I was diagnosed when I was 19 years old, and at 19, I was saying these things to my doctor. And again, it's my grandmother, seeing her life and seeing her not ever be on medicine. And the only thing she took was vitamin D. Um, and she exercised, she walked. So I think I've always had that mindset. A friend of mine and I were talking recently of just how, we were actually high school friends. And how did you end up in this space of living, healthy lifestyle and being very aware of what you're eating? And I said to her, I was like, do you remember our science class in like 11th grade? I can't remember the science teacher's name at the moment, but he showed us a video of what we were eating and what we were putting into our bodies. And that day, I wanted to curse everybody that was feeding me, if it was my parents or family, like, oh my gosh, how dare them? Why would they do this to us? And I was, what, 16, 17 in the 11th grade. So I've always had this space of, and from that day on, I stopped eating certain foods. And it probably was like hot dogs. In this video, that's what they talked a lot about. I'm like, I'm not ever eating a hot dog again. And I never did. Um,
I
kind
wish
of,
I saw that video, by the way.
um, so then,
Back
yeah,
then, you know, before my MS diagnosis. Since then, I saw way too
right?
many videos, and I feel like, oh my God.
I know but again, some people see that video and they don't think anything of it. They continue their life. But I've always been that person, if you're going to show me something bad, like it's not serving me. If it's not nourishing my body, I don't need to hang on to it. So yeah, I think I've always been in, again, being 19 and knowing that the medication that I was on when I was first diagnosed, it didn't feel good. It did not feel good at all.
I feel like you are such an old soul when it comes to this. You just know that without anybody have to explain it to you. Like you knew that back then, and you are so aware of these things. I felt like my example was like I had to see this video over and over again to realize like how bad was my diet and lifestyle before my MS diagnosis.
Mhm.
So it's you are truly like so many things I can learn from you.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think the old soul for sure, but I guess that old soul is my grandmother. I have somebody to walk beside and seeing her life. I'm just like, why would I want anything else? Why would I want something different? This, again, she's about to be 90 years old and is walking and is, running and not, run like, yeah, like the lady speed walks daily. And it's just like, to see her and again never being on a prescription medication, it's just, yeah, I think that's what keeps me where I'm at.
That's Dr. Walls was my example when it comes to MS and similar stories. Like I had to see that example in order to believe that it's possible.
Yeah, I love that, and such a powerful woman, and her story, and then you even saying like, if she can do it, I can do it too. Yeah.
Yeah, you only have to see one example. If you are a positive person, if you want to if you want change in your life and you believe that you deserve better, then you only need one example and you follow that path, and I think there is no return unless, yes, that was my other question. Like, so what do you do in a stressful situation? Because everybody has stress in their life. It comes from right and left, like energy, you know. So what do you do in that cases?
And yeah, you're absolutely right. It does. It comes from right and left. And I think with us having the condition that we do, it's almost like a superpower. And for many people, you can be so stressed, so overwhelmed, so burnt out from work and life, and they just keep going and going and going. But for myself, I can't speak for all of us, but myself, I'm not able to. Once something is stressful or
But
overwhelming,
not able to, not physically not able to, but deep down, you know that this is not something that you want to do, kind of, right? So you remind
exactly.
yourself that, no, thank you. I'm just gonna take a nap. Like I need
Right.
an excuse almost. Like I have MS and I need my peace.
And I need my peace, right? I know that needs to be a t-shirt. Exactly. I'm deciding and I'm allowing myself to serve myself in those moments. But I'm human, just like, when I have two kids and I have a family, and it's very stressful, but I do take a second because I actually feel it in my body. The stress actually sits in my back, and my upper shoulders, and I'll almost get like a twitch in my neck, and I'll know, okay, this is getting too messy. You've got to sit back, you've got to rest, you've got to breathe. And, because it actually becomes too heavy to carry physically because it hurts.
Do you compare
Um,
these symptoms to MS symptoms? Because it could be like some people might think it's the same, but it's actually caused by stress.
right. Yeah, absolutely. And it perhaps, yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, an MS symptom. Anybody maybe that hasn't been diagnosed with MS will have these pains and aches. They say we carry stress on our shoulders and our upper backs or whatnot. But me knowing that I have MS, I'm using that as like almost it's a trigger in a way. It's like, okay, your neck is hurting, you need to relax. Because my day to day, I'm not feeling any aches or pains. But when I'm carrying a lot, I'm physically carrying it in my body and I just have to release it. It has to go.
That's such a good point. Like you have to release it.
Yeah.
And uh, I think some of us are still struggling to find ways to release it. Like you can
Mhm.
just throw it back to the other person and start a fight, and then it never ends. Or you can just like find ways to release it and leave the body and leave that behind.
Yeah, you're so right. Yeah. I think that's the secret, I think. It's the secret sauce of just surviving this. Is just release it. If it does not serve you, if it doesn't feel good, like why are we carrying it? Um, Studying my condition and many other conditions, all autoimmune conditions, understanding how sensitive these conditions are and they're emotional diseases. They start with our emotions, they start with stress, they start with anger. All the autoimmunes are all emotions that we can all look at a chart, and say, oh, I'm happy, sad, angry, fearful. MS and all those autoimmune disease, other conditions, they all live within that emotional chart.
That's very interesting you said that because I was looking for answers. Why did I have this disease? What caused it? Finding the root cause. And the more research I did on myself, it was not research, it was digging. The more I find out it's life traumas, like emotional traumas and stress that I wasn't able to get it out and leave it, let it leave my body. So it's very interesting. And it's the most important thing that I feel like everybody should think about is after I publish this book or we publish this book with all your stories in it, I have one takeaway was all the stories. Like people talk about how stress was causing flares and leading to a diagnosis, but they don't really say it out loud that yes, stress is the number one cause when it comes to MS or anything in life, cancer, any sickness. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, that is right. And you're so right. When we go digging for that root cause, um, the roots are very deep and they're deeper than what we think they are. They're not that top surface. They are really deep. But once we understand the root cause, the doctors aren't going to understand the root cause because they aren't in it. But once our minds, our souls actually understand that root cause, you feel so much better because you can actually release that, because that root cause is not there with you anymore.
I didn't expect this conversation to go this way, but I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
I do. I do. I think that, and I don't know if I call it that, perhaps. I don't know what to perhaps call it, but I do think that us as humans, we don't have just one life. Um, I don't know if we come back as someone else or as a plant or an animal, but I do know,
You're lucky you're not a rock. That's what I mean.
right? If you're
You
not
don't
a
come back
rock.
as a rock. You come back as a
Exactly.
human, but yeah.
Right. But I do believe that especially if, and this could happen, for many different people and many different cases, But if you don't fully live the life that you're in right now, and you don't accomplish what you were here to do, you're going to come back. You're going to come back, and you're going to come back as yourself, and you're going to come back as yourself over and over again until you accomplish what your mission,
Yes, your purpose.
your
That's what I'm
purpose.
learning this year. Like the book was phase one of my enlightenment, and this is phase two of it's so interesting how when you are open to the universe and you are truly seeking healing, like all those things just start finding you. Like that's how I feel. Like I never thought about reincarnation, and then suddenly all these books are popping up, and somebody was recommended this. It's so random, but now that I truly trust that there is no coincidences and everything happens for a reason, this is just one example. Like we start talking about reincarnation, and yeah, it's you truly have to find your purpose. And if you don't, that's why we are here talking, because I feel like my purpose is to deliver this message to everybody who is looking for healing. Like there's another way.
Mhm. Definitely. You're absolutely right. And what's so beautiful about that is that you are finding your purpose and you're healing yourself within that purpose. That's your healing journey. You are fully healing due to the fact that you're touching so many lives through your purpose. Um, I took a seven frequency assessment. Um, and my results were exactly what I knew they were going to be. And the first one being a healer, and really understanding what that actually meant. We don't have to be doctors to heal. We don't have to, as long as you and I are sitting here talking to each other, our souls, our frequencies are healing each other. And then we can go and spread the word to other people to heal them as well. And I think that's how humans heal. That's how we heal. Yeah.
That's so deep, and I love every word. Like
Yeah.
I do believe that.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mm. So, what advice do you have for somebody, not only newly diagnosed, but somebody who feels lost and in pain and just don't know what's the next step?
I sad. My heart goes out to anyone that does feel that. Because I don't want that. I don't want that for myself, and I don't want that for other people. Especially, all people of MS, but women that are suffering with MS, just let it go. Let it go. It doesn't serve you. And going back to that purpose, once you find your purpose, and it doesn't have to be your life's purpose, it could be your day-to-day purpose. It could be as small as waking up and just being grateful. That could be your purpose for that day. As long as you wake up and you're grateful for waking up, you are going to be healed. You are going to heal, and every single day you wake up in gratitude. That is your one step to healing. It doesn't have to look like mine. I wake up and I exercise, and then I have celery juice and, warm water with lemon and all these things that make me feel good. But as long as we wake up and we just say, whoever your higher power is, thank you for waking me up today.
Mm.
I think that is the first step, honestly. I think that's the first step, and it can definitely be the last step, as long as we do that for ourselves.
That's so beautiful. Do you feel like MS was not a coincidence? It entered your life for a reason?
Definitely. Yeah. It was needed. It was needed. I was 19. I'm not going to say I wasn't down a bad path or anything. I was 19, headed to college, but my life would have looked so different. I did go down a path in school. I went to art school versus going into medicine, which I know is my calling. Um, but it's brought me back. That full circle has brought me back. And again, I think our purpose as people is to be people, be human, have a soul and take care and protect other people. And I think that that was my reason. That was definitely my reason for MS, coming to me, I guess I would
That
say.
was 16 years ago. That's
Ah,
you
yeah.
said that you had the calling, but you didn't follow that path. Instead, you choose something else.
Yeah.
Um, did you know that back then? Like you should have went this way, but or now that you look back, you realized it wasn't the right choice?
You know, even as a young child, I think I found myself always wanting to help people and even giving advice, when it came to, oh, you're hurt and trying to help someone, even as a young child. But always being that person that wanted to know why. Why does this condition exist? Why is this person sick? Why is this? Um, and I was headed to nursing school after high school, but ended up going to art school instead. But now living the life that I live now, and I have two kids and a partner and family with obviously so many different conditions. That is still there. I'm still asking why, but the why is now become like going to dig for that root cause and understanding what that why is to now I can help and serve them and other people as well.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's
Two kids, your pregnancies, postpartum, everything went well.
everything went well. Yeah, my first I had a son and everything went well. I it was a blessing. I had heard so many stories and doctors telling me, you shouldn't have kids, you shouldn't get pregnant. Just try to live the best life you can for yourself. Again, it's all fear that they try to put on us, but it wasn't, for me. I didn't listen to it, obviously. I had my son at 28, and I can tell you, I was healthy. I was healthy. Had a healthy pregnancy. And then 4 years later, I had my daughter. And again, healthy. I can't say that it had any, MS did not stop me from having a child. And yeah.
I remember from your story about high heels that you did not want to give up. Do you have any fear these days?
You know, I love that question. I don't have fear around the disease. Maybe just like, any other human, maybe the fear of just like the day to day and the fear of this country and the fear of what's coming next for this country, with this election tomorrow. Um, but again, it shouldn't be my fear. That's not my worry. Those things, again, do not serve me. But when I think about the disease itself, I don't have any fear, because I don't, and it just might be me being naive, but I don't have anyone to look at to say, they make they didn't make it on the other side, um or they're living a life, in a wheelchair or bedridden. I don't have anyone in my life that I'm looking at day to day, so I don't have
You
any
have the
fears.
best example. You have a perfect
Yeah.
grandma, and I'm sure everybody would like. No, I mean not with the disease, but like if somebody's diagnosed and have an example,
Yeah.
you can live a full life without. Do you think the mindset of your grandma contributes to her health?
Definitely, she is a woman that knows that the sky is not the limit, and she knows that everything happens for a reason. And I love this. She tells the story of just she wakes up every single morning and opens up her blinds for the sun to come in. And that's the beauty that she lives every day. That is her win. It's just you see the sun and you know it's going to be a good day.
Yeah,
It's
and even when there is no sun, the sun is behind the clouds, so it's still gonna be a good
it
day.
is definitely absolutely to that. Yes, you're so right. Yeah, it is still going to be a good day because we're up and awake and we're moving. Um, and I think even with knowing, back to that fear, just knowing the life that she's lived, and it's a very healthy life. So it's as long as we take care of ourselves, we take care of our mind. I recently did a genetics testing. Again, I don't go to the doctors much, and I this is my first study that I've actually done with the hospital that I go to. And I only said yes to this study because it's benefiting me. So I think if others look at medication, if that's what you have to do, or studies that they ask you to be a part of, ask the right questions and just make sure that it benefits you and not the study and not the doctors, not the government, but it's you that it's benefiting. In this study that I'm a part of, they just took blood work and they're understanding what my blood looks like and what my genes look like through my blood, to really see what the later part of my life may potentially look like.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Yeah. So when I heard that, I was like, why not? Let's do it. And again, it's not that I need to prove to anyone, that I don't need to be on prescriptions.
When the results is back, or how long is the study?
The results come back in I think between 6 months to a year. It just depends on everything. But the study has just been an ongoing study for the last few years. And there's really no check-ins. There's an app that you use. You can utilize it as a day-to-day of just how you're feeling, but I don't. And it's a community and I find myself going on there once in a while, but I haven't logged in anything. I don't want to tap into them too much. I just want to get what I need to get from it and see if I can help other people.
Hmm. And you are helping other people, right?
Yeah, I am. I am helping other people. I have found myself in a holistic practitioner role in my life. I am a health advocate as well, someone that helps people that do have that fear to speak up for themselves, to say like, okay, maybe this prescription medication worked for me in the past, but it doesn't feel good anymore, and it's okay to go off of it. There's alternatives that are out there for you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very powerful message. I know we can talk about celery juice and morning meditation and afternoon walk and all those things that people want to hear that would help with the symptoms, and they do help with the symptoms. It's just how we look at those things when we are doing it, you know,
Yeah.
because you can drink the celery juice, but if you don't believe in healing, then it's not gonna work.
Yes, yeah, that is very true. You have to believe. You have to believe that that celery juice is serving you. It's serving the gut, and that's where all these, diseases and emotions and things live, is within our gut. You have to believe that it's doing what it's going to do for you.
Yeah, when you mentioned the study, something just popped in my mind that I recently heard about. There was a study where they were showing that if you have a garden and you grow vegetables there, those vegetables are capable of curing cancer or any illnesses because you are the one taking care of the vegetables. So they're gonna take care of you. Like your body is gonna get exactly what it needs from those things just by loving the vegetables. They're gonna love you back. It was a very interesting thing how like the universe work around us and how
Mm.
like healing is so close and so like within the reach, not close, but it's like we can get there. It's just it's a matter
I
of
love that.
thinking.
Yeah, it is. And I love that you said it is so close because it is. If you don't have a garden and you have a pet, you're pouring into that pet and you're loving that pet. And the dog or the cat is also, it's giving you that love as well. So if people think about it as going back to being so close to you, we can definitely heal. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to hear like a continuation, follow up on the story from the book. So
Yes.
thank you. And I'm sure a lot of people are excited to see that that was the whole goal of the book when I created it. Is like I want to show faces behind the stories that yes, we are living proofs and we're gonna live healthy and we're gonna beat this disease basically. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.